Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's look is going to be more neutral. We're going to be using more browns. Typically I use brighter colors. It's been a while since I've done neutral colors, so I'm excited. So the first thing that I'm going to do is my eyes. And that's just because if there's any fallout, I don't want it to mess up my base, my foundation, concealer. I want it to all look smooth and flawless. So today the only palette that I'm going to be using is the 19 Neutral Territory Morphe palette, which was gifted to me for my birthday. I really like it. The colors are beautiful. So this is the palette that we're going to be using today. I'm going to be going in with the shades Make a Deal, Straight Up, and Promise. The first shade that I'm going to be using is Straight Up, and that's the lighter, more tan color of the three that I'm going to be using today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is spray my brush with this e.l.f. setting spray. And the reason that we are going to spray the brush with the setting spray first is it's going to make the eyeshadow fall out less, and it's also going to make the color a bit more vibrant. It might be a little hard to see, but the color is already much more vibrant than it is in the pan, and it's because of that setting spray. So I'm going to start by working this in the inner part of my eye, because the idea is with the three colors that I'm using today, I'm going to try to create sort of an ombre effect. Once you have both eyes pretty even, I'm just going to wipe my brush on a tissue real quick. I'm going to use the same brush for all three colors because I really want today's look to be blended together and all kind of flow seamlessly, and that's going to make blending easier later on because using the same brush with the undertones of each color will ensure that it's a little bit easier to blend and it's more of a dramatic ombre effect. Because I already sprayed the brush a couple times with setting spray, I'm only going to spray it one more time so that the darker colors can be a little bit darker, because right now the lighter color is still on there and I don't want that to brighten the darker colors too much. So I'm just going to give it another spray before we move on to the next two shades. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to using Make a Deal, and I'm just going to start working that a little ways past where the other eyeshadow ended. Just a little ways, and then I'm going to slowly work it backwards into the previous shade. And now I'm going to move on to using the shade Promise. This is the darkest color, so I want to be really careful on how much I blend it into the other two shades, because you can always go darker, it's harder to go lighter. So you want to make sure you don't have too heavy a hand when you're applying a darker color. I'm just going to slowly work it outwards, and I'm gonna do a little flick of my wrist, and it's okay if it's not in perfect lines like that, because when you blend it, it will all make it seamless. And see that fallout? That's why you usually want to do your eyes first, especially if it's a new palette or one that you know has fallout. You want to do your face last, just so it doesn't get messed up. Now I'm just going to take a fluffy blending brush and just blend everything together. Now if you notice, when I go from the outer corner into the inner corner, it creates more depth and it brings this darker shade above the other ones. So like I said, this isn't a natural makeup tutorial. Obviously this is more neutral because these are browns. I am getting extreme autumn vibes, which I'm actually really happy with because I do wish that it was fall right now. Now I'm going to take a Q-tip and I'm just going to clean up the edges a little bit because I don't like it too close to my eyebrow. because for me that makes the eyeshadow go into the eyebrow, especially when I do my eyebrows, and it just kind of blends everything together, which I personally don't like on myself. Now I'm going to take my tissue and I'm just going to wipe up my face. And now I'm just going to take a smaller brush and I'm just going to lightly smudge out the edges of my eyeshadow just to make it a little bit softer. Alright, so now it's time to move on to our base. I'm going to start out by using the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. So typically I use the end of a brush to scrape out the primer and put it on my face, but today I just want a light level of coverage for both the primer, foundation, concealer, powder. So I'm just gonna rub this with my fingers and just kind of apply it like so. And I really want to get my T-zone, especially in here. I will massage it through my face, but I want the main focus to be right in here. And you leave that on for about 30 seconds before you apply your foundation and concealer. Alright, so it's probably been a little more than 30 seconds. So I'm just going to start with my concealer. Hopefully you can see this okay, but this is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. This is in the shade 5, also known as Ivory. And I'm just going to apply a light level under my eyes, and then a little bit on my chin and nose. I'm going to blend this out with my Kabuki brush from ColourPop. And then for the finer details closer to the eyeshadow, I'm going to use a sponge. I noticed that when I use the Kabuki brush for my concealer and my foundation, it creates more of a smooth base because I'm using the same brush to blend it all out. So there aren't multiple different types of application and blending going on. It creates more of a natural smooth finish. For the smaller details, I do like to use a sponge, only because that ensures that I don't mess up my eyeshadow. Next, I'm going to move on to the Maybelline Fit Me Foundation. This is in the shade 105 Fair Ivory. And what I like to do is I like to pour just a little bit on my finger and then apply it in dots on my face. Today I just want super light coverage, so I'm not going to do too many dots. Alright, so now I'm going to take my Kabuki brush and just blend, blend, blend. And then you want to be sure to blend it down your jaw a little bit just to make sure that it's all blended together nicely and it's not a noticeable line of foundation, and then you see your neck, it's all blended nicely, because the point of foundation is to just look like a smoother version of your skin. Next, I'm going to use the Fit Me powder. This is the loose powder, and this is also in the shade 05 Fair. What I'm going to do with the powder is I'm going to apply it on the sponge and then apply it on my face to let it bake, which basically helps set your foundation in place and make sure that the powder really sinks in there to lock it in place. Typically I do it a little farther down than that, but today I want to put it right there. So I'm just gonna let that sit on my face for a little while. In the meantime, I'm going to move on to mascara and brows. So I'm going to use the Maybelline Falsies mascara. I love this. This is my current favorite mascara. When I do mascara, I do what I call the over the nose trick. And basically what that means is I just hold the brush, I just hold the wand, and I go over my nose to the opposite side instead of like applying it with my left hand. I do it like this because it brings the lashes up and makes it much more dramatic. So I didn't record a few steps that I had done, so let me just explain them really quick. I did do my brows. I used the Benefit Cosmetics Gimme Brow Brow Gel. It was from my Birchbox, so it was a very cute sample. That's what it looks like, and I just brushed it through my brows, which in turn tinted them and allowed them to look more full. It is in my shade, which is neutral deep brown, and I'm very happy that Birchbox listened to everything I said in the quizzes that they gave me. I also used this ColourPop Cosmetics blush stick. This was in the shade Mic Drop, and I took it and I just smiled and I went like that across my cheeks, and I used a sponge to blend it out. Then I did highlighter, of course, and I ended up using my favorite highlighter, which is this one right here. It is the Space Case Cosmetics highlighter. It is like a creamy formula, so I just used my finger to blend it on top of my blush. Other than that, you are all caught up to speed. This is the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit Metallic Liquid Lipstick. This is in the shade I Don't Desert You. This is one of my favorite shades. I bought the whole liquid catsuit lip set because it was on a sale at the time, marked down from like $20 to about $10. I love how metallic and like a deep purple it is. This is one of my favorite shades. Alright guys, so unfortunately my phone didn't record the last tip, which is this natural finish setting spray from Wet n Wild. But other than that, that is all I had for today. Thank you guys so much for watching my first makeup YouTube. I'm sorry it went a little rough, but thank you so much for being a trooper if you made it this far. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video.